Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is John Ferry, and welcome to New Zealand Tattoo. Today, it was my great pleasure to talk to Matt Jordan, who's the co-owner and founder of Shipshape Tattoo in Dairy Flats, Auckland, New Zealand. Matt's an OG of New Zealand realism tattooing and an all-around black and grey master. It was a really, really cool conversation for me because I really admire Matt's work. And please do check him out under @MattJordanTattoo on Instagram and Facebook. If you like this conversation, please do subscribe to the channel, like the video, and look out for all the upcoming conversations we're having. How are you, man?
The sun will go down a wee bit soon, but yeah, I'm good.
I'm actually looking forward to the next however long, if we get to catch that sunset that you keep taking photos of.
Yeah, for sure.
The hell of a spot you guys have up there, eh?
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
All good. Dad, thank you so much for doing this, man. I appreciate you taking the time in your evening, especially if you've got family around. But the best place to start these kind of chats is to hear about kind of your upbringing, because I know you kind of grew up in Christchurch and that your dad was a tattooer. That must have been a hell of an upbringing.
Yeah, so born in Sydney, it all kind of went pear-shaped over there for my family, and they moved back to Christchurch, and then I mostly grew up in Christchurch. Sure. In my young years, I've got really cool memories of like hanging out at my dad's tattoo studio, skin show, in Christchurch. It was
great name.
Earliest memories, like being there, and it kind of all came to a stop pretty early on, because when I was about 6 years old, my dad died of cancer when he was a year younger than I am now. So
wow.
Yeah, so he kind of got cut short, and then tattoos weren't a part of my life anymore for a long time. Yeah. My mum is covered in tattoos from my dad, and couple from Steve Johnson and stuff. Cool. So she was in the club, and bikie chick. So and a lot of people in our immediate family have tattoos. So it was a big part of my life still, to an extent, but I wasn't at the studio. It wasn't. I was distant from all that, and I guess at some point I started to be in. We had other family members in the tattoo industry in and around, and my mum got a couple more tattoos, and that kind of reignited my kind of that connection, because I was a wee bit older. And then all sorts of stuff happened. I just kind of went about life, and I'd go fishing a lot, and always still drawing. And then I left school when I was 14, I think. All the while, I'd draw and stuff, like a little bit. I wasn't good at it though, when I think of my drawings, they're very crude, but it was like it was a hobby, and then, but people would always say, oh, you should, why don't you do something to do with drawing, and it just came a point where I just got real fed up with that wasn't, I love being in the country and farming and stuff to an extent, but I, needed to pursue that art thing, Yeah. And then, so I was just like, fuck it, I'm gonna give it a go, And then there just came a point where I was like, I'm gonna give it a shot. John Sparks ordered me a set of colors and a couple of Mickey Sharps machines, right, and bits and pieces, and then I had a bit of a crash course from a couple of pretty bogan tattooer dudes. Yeah. And then I just started fucking tattooing in my bedroom, and and I was 18 years old, and I did that for 2 or 3 years. I did so many shoddy tattoos. Yeah, definitely not the right way to do it, kids. But and all my good friends too. So now I've got to fucking deal with that, and so did they. We had a big flat with like a ton of people in it, and Cookie, my dog. And we had a big flat with a ton of people in it, and I tattoo them. I'd maybe 2 tattoos a week, and that would be enough money, you know, even if it was a tiny amount, that would be enough to, you know, go and get fucking drunk or high or whatever when I was young and do all that stuff. And that was all I kind of did for those early years, you know. I just was just partying, and I didn't take it seriously. I really enjoyed it, and I liked the culture and the scene and like that sort of all that. And it was really cool for me because like in a way, like I didn't realize that like I was socially really, really awkward and shy. And you know, like school was, you know, kids aren't very kind, you know, to a big kid, you know, like me. So I, you know, never had a lot of friends or confidence. And then tattooing, everyone's like, oh shit, you're a tattooist, you know. It's like all of a sudden you're cool, you know. And like that was weird, you know. People want to, you know, kind of cling on to you, and like, you know, some people could take advantage, but some people were just genuinely really interested, and they were creative and they were cool. And I made some really good friends, and it gave me an opportunity to overcome all of that kind of, you don't really overcome it, but to come to terms with that social anxiety and learn to talk and just be among people was really cool.
Especially if you've got something in between the two of you talking. You know, if you're working and talking, then you've got that kind of barrier rather than just face to face. Yeah, it's cool.
And then I kind of started hanging out with these people at this place called Project Legit, this kind of big art space up in the Creations building in Christchurch, and it was above the John Britton Museum in town in the square, and it was up the elevator. There was a place called Project Legit, which was like part of this bigger thing called Creations, which was a big shared studio space.
Oh,
and there I got to hang out with like graffiti artists and the likes. And in the Project Legit program, they would have kind of groups of like kids coming through the YMCA and things like that, and they would like teach them graffiti, basically. Like they'd teach them how to do a piece. They'd compose it. They'd give them all a black book. They would compose a piece, and then the end of the course would be they'd take them out and they'd do these murals.
Right.
And the guys that were running, guys and girls, Miriama and Nick and Guy or Decipher, and all the DTR crew guys, like it was like Jungle, Icarus, Decipher, Fiasco was up there quite a bit, and like a bunch of amazing graffiti artists that would roll through there. And I started hanging out there, and then I was like tattooing, partying, but I was spending a lot of time just kind of just painting and like doing all kinds of odd stuff, like just artistic stuff with these people, and they'd kind of go, oh, why don't you could do this, and why don't you try this, and or I'd hang out with them and help them with their thing. And then that was cool because it kind of made me realize that it wasn't just about doing these tattoos and, you know, partying. It was like I really enjoyed the whole artistic process, and it wasn't all just about doing tattoos. And eventually I guess I got to a point where my tattoos were really bad still, but like I could do a clean line and stuff. And I lucked out on an apprenticeship at Down Under Tattoo. And I was working there full time, and I had so many crazy times in that studio. It was a wild and wonderful place, you know. And you know, I had some great times with Steve, and some not so great times as well, you know. But that's, you know, old school tattoo. Yeah. And Steve taught me to be proficient, you know. He taught me to hurry up. You know, that was the main objective.
Get it done.
Get it done. But that helped me out along the way eventually, you know.
Cool.
You know, good and the bad with it. But like, you know, what I learned to tattoo quick and cleaner, because, you know, you get big shit when someone comes back and they're not happy. Application wise, he did teach me a lot, you know.
Right.
And just about, you know, the equipment and the yeah, the actual like longevity and all of this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I started to really kind of realize like sort of tattoos that really interested me. And being like a metal kid at the time, that was like Paul Booth and Robert Hernandez really at the start, you know, was and Paul Branner. And yeah, so that was kind of this cool time where we didn't have like social media, you know, like people had Bebo, I think, but I didn't fucking have it, you know,
MySpace and stuff, yeah.
MySpace, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no. So and we would just go on, we were just transitioning from looking at these magazines and there'd be like these all these tattoos, but then there'd be this one from Paul Booth or one from Robert Hernandez and Bob Tyrrell and all those cats and then they would advertise their website in the magazine and you're like go on the website and you're like holy fucking shit, like look at this. It's like yeah, just absolutely amazing, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was then I was like, okay, all right, that's what I want to do, you know.
Cool.
I want to be good at this, like, and I started to really kind of see that I wasn't good. Never seen that, you know.
Were you always quite drawn to kind of more realistic stuff? Like even in your early days of drawing, was that kind of stuff that you'd copied more like portraiture or realism?
No, and I never did one until I started tattooing, at least.
Oh wow, yeah.
And then the realism really just came from seeing Paul Booth and Hernandez to start, you know, and Braniff, you know. And then it was like I was
Seeing
like,
that it was possible.
That's so cool. I didn't even know that was a thing, you know.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't realism. It was like I was into dark stuff, you know, and it was what I was. But nobody fucking wants that, you know. Like, well, you know, a few of your buddies, but they don't have, you know, they can't get tattooed all the time.
Yeah.
They go, you know, they're as broke as I am. So yeah, I don't know. There was still huge holes because you're like, we're in a time now where all the information is there and you can just go online and get it, you know, and anyone can just kind of nut out how to do a tattoo that's really believable and really beautiful pretty quickly in a couple of years, even, you know, some of these young. But I was lucky because I'd already done the hard part before. Sure. So it was kind of just like a perfect storm, you know. Yeah. I'd done the work already leading up to that and my foundation and all that stuff. And but then it was like starting again because my tattoos, you know, I was trying to do all this technical stuff and it was not healing well. And there was, you know, there was like, oh shit, now I got to learn all this, you know. And it was crazy. But it was and then that was a huge turning point for sure.
I would imagine, yeah. So how long were you like? Obviously, it sounds like you were straight away tattooing as soon as you kind of got into the studio. How long?
The afternoon that I packed my stuff in, I did a walk-in.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really an apprenticeship.
I was going to say, so how long were you considered an apprentice?
Well, until the day I left, I was good. Doing all that. So you know, that was never going to stop there. You know.
Got it.
So that was,
Cool. So how long were you with him? How long were you at that studio?
Man, that whole part of my life is honestly a blur.
Yeah.
I was so fucking munted, like it was such a waste of my brain and my, you know, like I was doing good things, but I didn't, you know, it wasn't really until I really kind of sorted my shit out and like settled down a wee bit and had a kid and like cleaned my act up that I can really say that I was progressing really well and, you know, and actually like giving and like, you know, learning and giving 100%, you know.
Yeah. So what was the step after leaving that studio? Was that into your own or was it into another studio?
I left there without knowing what I was going to do, I think. I kind of knew we were going to go to Nelson.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just freaked out and said to Elise, my wife, I was like, fuck, I just can't do this. And she was like, leave, you know. And that's really hard to leave a studio like that. Like, you, like the old way is like, are you leaving? Where the fuck are you going? You know, you're not fucking tattooing in this town, you know, we'll fucking break your hands, we'll burn your shop down or whatever. I'm not saying Steve said that shit, but I'm just saying that was what it was like. And that was the pressure that was put on you, you know, when you leave a studio. And it was hard, you know, to leave and to tell them, you know, I was like, I just can't and I need to move away. And then we moved to Nelson, and I went and worked at Vision Tattoo with this guy called Wok, who is an amazing dude in Nelson. And,
Is he still there?
Yep.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's
Wok.
still there. Yeah, yeah. He's still there. Him and Gene Martin. You know Gene?
Yep.
From Taranaki?
Yep.
Yeah. So they used to have the first Vision Tattoo in Richmond next to Nelson.
Yep.
And then, yeah, backtrack. There was a time before I even got my apprenticeship. I went to Nelson for a holiday for a week, and I was just a scratcher, and I walked into Wok's shop and was just like, hey man, I'm Matt Jordan. And he was like, hey, I'm Wok, and we kind of shook hands, and I was like, I do tattoos just at home, and I showed him, and he was like, oh, those are really good, man. And he's like, what are you doing? What are you doing up here? I was like, I'm here on holiday. And he's like, oh, do you want to come and work with me for like the week? And I was like, yeah, that'd be amazing. I've never worked in a before. Yeah. And he was like, cool, I'm actually going on a hike. So I'll give you the keys and you just like do whatever and then just like leave like 30% of whatever you make in this drawer. And I was like,
holy shit.
Sweet, I just like played it cool, but it was the most exciting thing that had ever happened. It was the weirdest, craziest, and that's him. That explains that dude to a T. He's the most amazing, wonderful man, and he has a really good sense of who he trusts and who he doesn't. And he was just like, I like this guy, and he was, and he gave me a shot, and I just did little bangers all week and didn't fuck anything up, and left the money and left, and it was it was so surreal. It's like a dream, to have that opportunity, But so that really forged that friendship. That then I was like, when I left, I was like, I just kept thinking about that. I was like, he was so nice, he was so
generous,
just easygoing and kind, and like not any of the things that my apprenticeship had been. But yeah, it was an amazing time working with Wok, and it was really cool. And we were having so much fun, and I was starting to get to do more and more fun tattoos at that point. But then Lockie came, and it just didn't feel right in Nelson. It was hard for my wife not having her family there, and I'm cruisy, man. I love my family to bits, but I think I'm just the sort of person that I'm like, my family is Lockie and Elise, and I have a lot of other family, but those are the two people in my direct line of sight that I need to look out for and make sure they're happy, So I was like, oh, what do you want to do? And then we moved back to Christchurch, to be closer to her family and to open a tattoo studio.
Cool. The studios that you had like in Christchurch, I'm aware that were like destroyed with the earthquakes, right?
The first one wasn't. The first one was so brief that nobody even really knows about it, apart from my really close people. It was called Fats Junior Custom. So my dad's name was Fats, and I love cars and motorbikes and stuff, and we kind of like built this cool little like one room little wee art space where I could just do whatever I wanted, and it was my own thing, and it was really cool. And we lived in the house behind it, and
cool.
And then we moved in, we got it all done and dusted. We scraped the money together. Wok lent me some money, and that's how cool is that, right? Oh, I gotta leave. He's like, you want some money?
Yeah, that sounds sensational.
He's fucking amazing. I cannot tell you how important this guy is in my life. And so he fronted me like a bit of coin to get the bond and to fit out the shop.
Cool.
Like rather than fucking drilling me into the ground for leaving, And then he we opened this little space, and then we were in there for like not long, and then one night it was just like boom, fucking September something thing. there was a big earthquake, and it was we were on Colombo Street at the Port Hills end, and we got up and like ran to Lachlan and made sure he was okay and held him. And then when the earthquake stopped, we went outside, and there was just all these cars flying past going up the hill, like because they were worried about a tsunami, you know.
Got it.
They're all going up the Port Hills, and we were just like, "Fuck, this is crazy. This is so surreal." Yeah.
And so what? So after FATS, how long were you at FATS?
Fucking like a few months, and then there was an earthquake, and then a few of my friends from Engraved was the shop that fell down in the first September earthquake. Yeah. Engraved Tattoo fucking fell to the ground. So Mark Sender, Mike Slade, and Zach, they lost their studio, and I was just like, oh, that's okay, just come work with me. I got heaps of room. So they all came to work with me, and then it got real weird, and my landlord was like, oh no, you can't have people work for you, you know. And I was like, what? Like, my fucking shop. And it turns out that he had fucking done this dodgy thing and kind of said that it was a shop, but it had been denied resource consent, so technically it was a residential property. And then it was a big kind of clusterfuck, and we left. I was like, fuck, you know, fuck that, fuck you, and fuck all of this. And it just kind of got real, So then the boys opened a new Engraved in High Street, yeah. Cool. And that was so cool. And it was an epic shop, and they had like my little thing on it's Engraved Tattoo, and then, and Matt Jordan, Fats Jr. Customs, underneath. And they really included me in that.
Yeah, that's right.
And took me in, because they wanted to return the favor. And, then it kind of came out that I got fucked over by that dodgy landlord.
Yeah.
We looked at a few different buildings. We looked at one in the Creation building, actually, earlier in the story.
Yeah, and, full circle, that would have been great.
I was like, oh, I want to be in that building. I love that building, but it didn't work out, and we ended up in High Street in this building, beautiful kind of big brick place, and it was really lucky that we ended up in that building because it had just had a lot of strengthening. Yeah, and then in February, after the September earthquake, we were working, and I was tattooing like an apocalypse tattoo with a busted up city on my friend's arm, and then it was like
just went
boom. Yeah, and I hit the ground and got like dragged under the beam, and we were all like huddled under the beam in the earthquake. It was pretty loose, and but we were okay. And then, but the really crazy thing was, that we were okay, and we went outside, and a lot happened that day. It was a crazy day. Like, I don't know how much you want to talk about shit, but like, so we, hung around and tried to help people as much as we could, and the ladies in the cafe underneath us, we all kind of had to get them out. They were buried under the counter, and we got two of them out. Yeah. And another one was like trapped at the back of the shop. But these people came with like a rescue dog, like lightning fast, and they went in through ours and in through a hole in the floor and kind of found her and got her out. And that was just our little immediate little bubble,
Yeah.
Like that day was, me and this guy Ant, who was our apprentice at the time, Anthony von Ratkorps, or Ratkorps now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know him.
I don't know, but that's a great name.
Yeah. Ants is fucking rad. Yeah, he's so cool. But me and him were like, fuck it, let's go back up and get some shit, because it had stopped, and we kind of were just being dumb. But we were like, everything's in there, and we're not going to get it back. And me and him ran back in, and we took everyone's tattoo machines out of all the drawers. And we got a few special bits of artwork, the most special stuff.
Yep.
In Ans's skateboard collection. And then we ran out and went and put it in a car and locked it in a car. And then we ran around and kind of tried to help people some more until we got basically kicked out of the city by the military and the police. They were kind of like, fuck off home, you know? Yeah. So I called my wife, and she hadn't been able to get hold of me because the phone lines were jammed.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm okay, you know. And she was like, cool. And I was like, are you guys okay? And she's like, yeah. And she was like, she was just worried, you know. Yeah. And then she was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm walking home. And she's like, okay, you can't drive, you know. It's the roads and because of the liquefaction and stuff. It was just fucking. So, I said, do you want to move to Auckland? And she was like, yeah, just whatever you want to do. You know, I just want everyone to be happy, you know, safe. And so that was Tuesday. And then I called Dean at Sacred Tattoo, and I called Sacred, and Rachel answered, and I was like, can I talk to Dean? She's like, are you okay? Because she knew, you know, obviously it was on the news. And put Dean on. I was like, can I come work with you for a bit? And he was like, anything, you know. Cool. And then we moved to Auckland, and we stayed at my friend's house, and that was when we moved to Auckland, and I worked at Sacred Tattoo, which was the most amazing time. Yeah, I
would imagine. Yeah, geez, that's so hectic.
Yeah,
it's how cool of it for your friend to just come. Doesn't matter.
It was really good of it for sure. Yeah.
Amazing. So how long were you at Sacred?
6 months.
Oh, cool. Yeah. With the plan, like was the thought process to like you just be there in the interim so I can set something up myself?
I would have loved to have worked at Sacred, but I was in the guest station. I did completely different tattoos to them. Yeah. But it was still really cool. Like, you know, it was a great place to go and get tattooed. Yeah. You know, and even then you're going to learn, you know, and just see how efficient they are, how prolific they are, how driven they are, how much time goes into fucking real tattooing. Yeah. And that's what, because everywhere else I'd worked up until there was kind of like, you know, Engraved, we were super motivated for sure. And it was, you know, we were trying to be that, but they were that. They were what we were trying to be, you know, they were the fucking guys, you know. Dean's like fucking, wow, I don't know, you know, I don't know. He's like the most special guy in tattooing in New Zealand. So, you know what I mean? Like, and all those guys are great, you know, in their own rights. But, you know, there's definitely, you know, what Dean was doing at that point in time was very, very special, you know.
Yeah. Still is, yeah.
Still is, 100%. But like, you know, I think, you know, it was pretty amazing opportunity for sure.
Yeah. And cool. So are these people like, so the fact that you can just kind of give the Sacred guys a call, are these like, are they friendships that you'd already formed like through conventions and just traveling? Or? Yeah, cool.
Yeah, I met Dean at the Wellington convention. Because I was already friends with Gene and that and everyone, and they were like, oh, come to the Wellington convention. So we went to the Wellington Tattoo Convention. This is back when I was at Down Under still. Yeah. Sorry, babe? Lower Hutt. Yeah, Lower Hutt. And then we went there. That was back when I was at Down Under, and they had like a full-on tattoo show. There was like 50 booths. You know, It was crazy. In New Zealand, it was loose. Yeah. And it was really well organized. We all had booths. It was like a proper little tattoo convention. My first ever, you know, like real tattoo convention experience, I'd say, you know. And I met Dean there, and I was like, could I come and do a guest spot sometime, you know, come and work with you? And he was like, yeah. So I'd actually done a couple of little guest spots.
Yeah, sweet.
There over those couple of years. That was my first ever time going to Auckland. Cool. And I just went and did a wee bit of work there.
Nice. Yeah, the reason I asked that is it seems like from an outside looking in, from what you kind of put in social media and the people that you surround yourself with, you seem to like you don't really have too many people just pass by. You seem to welcome everyone in, and the artistic people that you surround yourself with tend to stay and either that or come back quite regularly, or you seem to kind of like people kind of gravitate towards you, which is quite cool.
Yeah, there's a few people that would disagree, but
yeah, I'm sure. Okay. You got to have both, right? Yeah.
Yeah, there's definitely a few people out there that would,
yeah, we're getting that sunset. So when you moved to Orewa, what was setting up that studio like? Because obviously that's, I mean, I don't know if there's ever been any studio there prior to you, and I'm sure there's one there now, but what was that setup like?
That was cool because like I was working at Blue Lotus and I was fucking busy and I was like doing cool tattoos and I was booked out for like 6 months or something and I was like we weren't broke anymore.
So,
and I was just so relieved to not be broke anymore because we'd been broke for fucking years, you know. And we weren't rolling in it, but like we had our rent was paid every week, you know, and we had gas to get to work, and our car had a fucking battery that worked, you know, like it was just like we were like kind of cruising, and I was like, this is amazing. And yeah, people were coming from like way out south already to get tattooed at that point in Albany. So like it was only another 15 minutes up the road. I think it's going to be okay.
Should be fine, you know?
Yeah. And then we opened, like by the time we opened, I was booked out for like 2 years, you know.
Dope. Wow.
And that was a crazy feeling.
Yeah.
You know?
That's like quite scary, man. That's hectic.
Terrifying to have that people want to get. And I booked everything in because I was still like going, fuck, how am I going to, you know, pay the rent or whatever. And I'd say anyone that wanted to get tattooed, I was like, yep.
Yeah.
And I was booked out forever because I'd just do anything, you know. And I had all these appointments and it was crazy. Yeah. And that was like the beginning of a whole nother thing. Like opening Shipshape was like, it was like opening the floodgates on my career and on a few other people's as well, I think.
I wanted to ask, like, if you were setting that up, were you already trying to find some other artists to join before setting up, or were you already kind of in there and tattooing, and then you started talking to people about coming in?
No, before we even opened, I was like, I'm looking for somebody to come work with me at this new studio I'm going to open, and you know, I didn't even think we had a name for it at that point, but I was like, I'm going to open my own shop and I want somebody to come work with me so I don't go crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And we started looking and we found someone and then right away, you know, the day we opened, there was 2 of us in there. And,
cool.
Yeah. That was the start. And it was good because I was doing good work, like, and I had a real direction at that point of like, I was more consistent, you know, and I'd learned how to do a good tattoo and to be really consistent in doing a good tattoo. And that was the key thing because it was very hit and miss for a long time.
Yeah, sure.
You know, and I'd learned to just be kind of on all the time. And I knew the formula at that point and I knew how to show people it too. So I could take somebody who I was like, I could see me and them, and I could go, they're doing some good tattoos, and some atrocious tattoos, and I know how to fix that.
Yeah, awesome.
You know? So
and is that something that you found like came to you quite easily in terms of that assistance with other people, like verbalizing, like you just need to tweak this and this and you'll be fine, or was that something
because of all those experiences? Because of all those, you know, because of Steve, because of Wok, because of Dean and Dan and Hamish and everyone, you know, along the way, and Gene, you know, and just having so many amazing, you know, helpers along the, you know, little snippets from everyone, and cool. I kind of created it without even realizing it, a formula, I guess, of how to. I had somebody explain it really well as learning how to learn. And once you work that out, then you can work out how to do things pretty well.
And so at what point, like, well, do you remember any point, and like after opening Shipshape and you were like really starting to deliver on your realism stuff, that things just all of a sudden sort of skyrocketed for you?
They already had at that point. Like, not necessarily like my tattoos. If I look back to those tattoos, to the tattoos I do now, is a lot different. You know, if you put it on an international scale, it probably wouldn't have gone completely lost in the field.
Sure.
But I was really paying attention to what was happening overseas, and I was trying to bring it here.
Yeah, it's the bit of a different day rather than what's around you.
Yeah, rather than just when I stopped thinking about the weekend and the, and all that, and started kind of going, well, why is it so much further along over there? Like, what are they? Not in other, there was guys here doing amazing Japanese stuff, and obviously Tāmoko and all that just was very advanced then. But there wasn't a lot of people touching on realism or anything like that. Yeah.
Were you reaching out to, because I know you've got lots of friends overseas that are tattooing. Were you reaching out to anyone over there that was kind of doing stuff that you were either like trying to emulate or things that you were trying to figure out at the time? Would you reach out to anyone like the Paul Booths or the Color Stories?
I'd made contact with Joshua Carlton by then. He had like a website. Fuck, what was it called back in the day before Facebook and shit? And it was like kind of like a MySpace for tattooists almost.
Yeah.
And I'd made friends with him a little bit, and him and John Montgomery were like hooking me up with some ink and stuff, and
nice.
That was about it. And then when I really got to start meeting people was Steve Marching was working the London Tattoo Convention.
Yeah.
And which is a fucking big deal. And when you're a young tattooist, and he was like, oh Matt, you want to come to the London Convention with me? And I was like, fuck yeah, I do, and I'd never really traveled before.
Yeah.
And so me and my wife saved up, and we met Steve there, and then went and met Nicole Lowe and did a bit of work there, I think. And and then we worked the London Convention, and I had my amazing wife with me, and she's got some really cool portraits from me, and that was like the start of the meeting the guys, my idols, and some now peers, like friends,
So when you like what was the thing that prompted the move from the Shipshape and Orewa to Dairy Flats? You were just ready to expand, or was there
was a huge time, like the first Shipshape was a huge time, like so much happened there, and so much just that was when it was just snowballing, the whole Shipshape came from nothing to being like, people all around the world knew about Shipshape, and that felt really cool. And, we had, a few people come and go, and then, I had, what happened? We had some real hard times as well, because it was super successful, but it would like kind of ebb and flow and like be like peaking and then just dead, because everyone would get like kind of the itchy feet, and they'd all travel, and then and the studio would just be empty, and it would just be me in there stressing about the bills, and I got to that point where I kind of hated it again, I had that same feeling that I had it Down Under Tattoo, and I didn't want that, when I set out to make a studio, that I felt really happy in. And I got to a point where I was miserable in my own studio, and so I was like, I need to fix this, and so I did, and I got rid of what was making me anxious and stressed out, and I changed it and made myself and my family happy again, and like kind of because I was just allowing it to happen, like thinking I had to please everybody, we're all people pleaser. And but I was just like, what, fuck them, and like, fuck all that, and fuck anyone that, that wrecks, that for you, something you love so much, like I had jobs in the fisheries that I enjoyed more than some of my times in tattoo studios,
Wow. Yeah, it's amazing how quickly, as soon as you kind of get that mindset, how quickly those things can actually drop off and just disappear. That's cool.
Yeah, fucking like I went from nightmares about work, literal nightmares, to sleeping like a baby, and overnight from removing the negative stuff from my life.
Cool.
And then I really started to go. I learned something again. I learned how to be good at art, but how to try and think about improving the business, because you can't just open a business and it just works. Like I was really good at getting people to come and get tattoos, but I was terrible at having a business. I didn't know how to do it. I knew what I didn't like, and I knew what I liked everywhere I'd been. So I kind of just tried to like patch it all together and make like this, like, Voltron. I want this, but I would also want to move to the middle of nowhere. So
Yeah.
I talked to my two good work friends, the two senior guys, Ben and Jason, or Jason Baker and Ben K. And we had a meeting, we had a barbecue. And I was like, how would you guys like to be business partners? And they were like, how do you mean? And I was like, we'll build a new shop, big new shop, and we'll be free, all the three of us. And and they were like, we'll think, I was like, think about it, we kind of went away and we kind of worked out how it would work. And we were like, this will be fucking cool. They were like, well, what do you want? Like, are they buying in or no? No, all equal, but I'm going to move away. And I want Shipshape to keep being Shipshape because it's special I think we need it. It's good to have for the community and for tattooing, And I don't want to see me and my wife's baby that we worked so hard on. Me and her built that from nothing. I didn't want to see it disappear. When I moved away. So and everyone loved, the guys that really liked working there, I think. So and they were proud to be a part of it. So rather than them going off and opening more tattoo studios, we just make Shipshape and try and make it big enough that we can have a lot of us there and we can all enjoy it and hopefully not all, hopefully make it so it just ticks along and covers its ass and be successful enough to just flourish and keep going, from that. So I think we're doing something really cool.
Yeah, man.
Shipshape. I think that the move was like a good move, and if you've been to the new Shipshape, you have. Yeah,
man. Yeah, I came up to your seminar with Toffee.
Yeah, I
Such a cool space.
Yeah, I guess for people listening, go check it out. It's pretty special place. You'll know what I'm talking about when you walk in there. It's amazing. With having everyone's input into it, it's just it's just amazing, big collaborative, like. Yeah,
I mean, it speaks for itself. If you look online, just the surroundings, and then obviously the people that you've got in there, but just it looks like such an amazing space to rock in every day. Walking through the gallery,
when you get in there first in the morning, if you're the first one there, like when you get in and there's people there, you're like, oh hi guys. But when you go in and it's like dark and you come in through the side of this like warehouse and open the door and it's black and you just turn the side light on and it's just like, poof, and then you go put the other lights on and it lights up and you're just like, holy shit. Like every time I was just like, man, this is cool.
So good. Yeah, you guys have done so well, man.
It was very rare that I was there first. And so when I did do it, I was like, whoa, but yeah, no, it's so cool, man. We love Shipshape.
Yeah, dope.
It's so cool. Shipshape's awesome. Yeah,
it must be really cool going down there once a month, spending a week down, and just because obviously you're working by yourself up in the far north, right? So going down and being amongst that again, it must be a real good, like big artistic boost.
Yeah, it's like going on guest spots all the time.
Absolutely, yeah. Little convention,
little guest spot, and I feel like very proud of what we've built.
It should be, man. Yeah, you've done like from an outsider as a tattooist and someone that just loves New Zealand tattoo, and especially I was super excited to hear when you guys were doing it and to have been able to go and check it out and see what you guys are producing daily from there as well, man. You should be super proud. Really cool.
Thank you.
Yeah. I don't want to take too much of your time up, man. The sun's set up there, and you've got a lovely wife and son to kind of hang out with. But I wanted to ask if it's okay. My mate Steve Cook, who he wanted me to hit you up about your kingfish at Tai Tokoro, and I wanted to ask about your the barbecuing, man, because you look like you're just having banquets at your house daily.
Oh yeah. Not good for the figure.
When did that all kick off?
It all kind of got fast forwarded, the moving up north thing.
Yeah, sure.
And at that point, I was starting to cook a bit, and I was starting to cook a bit and enjoy it. And I've always loved food and been interested in food. I wasn't necessarily very good at cooking though. You know, it was like, you know, I had a few cool things that I made, but I wasn't skilled at it, and I'm still not. You know, like I just like it's that learn to learn thing. You know, anything I do, I throw my whole self into it. So I kind of muddle through and try to work it out best I can.
Yep.
I like to think that my cooking is basically like one of those tattooists that just learned off of YouTube and is doing pretty good.
Yeah.
You know, there's definitely holes in the formula, and I don't have the knowledge that a classically trained chef or somebody that's done the hard yards has. You know,
Sure.
but I can look at things and try and work them out, and I'm passionate about it. So
yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and when we started to think about what is this thing we're doing, you know, moving up north, and what is that going to look like? That was a really long process. Me and my wife talking about it through, just like kind of almost going through like you know, we were like separating from Shipshape, even though we're still a huge part of it, and it's my other home. You know, 1 week a month, and they're my family there. I was like, what are we going to do up there? You know, people up here. But it was kind of like a kick for me to in the direction of the multiculture and my learning about my whakapapa and that, and then so that's how we came into Studio Takitimu. You know, that was where that started. And yeah, so we're still muddling through it, and it's a lot different. It's a very different thing than what I thought it was going to be.
Sure.
But it just kind of happened naturally, I guess. It just happened the way it had to happen, you know.
What's the origin of the name? Where's the Takitimu come from?
Takitimu is one of the waka that my ancestors came to New Zealand.
Cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Huge waka that came to New Zealand and sailed down the coast, and it stopped up north from here in Taipa and Doubtless Bay, and went in there.
Cool.
Then it went out and it came into Whangaroa, which is where I live now.
Yeah.
And then, you know, and then they made their way down and out through all the east coast, all the way down the North Island, and stopped off, and then sort of made home in over in Banks Peninsula, you know, where I spent a lot of time when I was a kid, actually, without even knowing it, you know.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, so that's where the name came from. I just wanted it to be something special, and that seemed really, really special, you know. And
it's so good. Like it's such a it must be such a privilege, but also you've worked super hard for it. But having people come to you where you are, that's super special, you know. The travel, and then obviously you're repaying that with what you're doing, but the art as well as the hospitality. But yeah, having people come to you for your art that's such a big privilege. It's really cool.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel super lucky for sure. And you know, when that was the Arewa leap all over again for me, because I was like, we'll move to the middle of nowhere. What will we do for work? Well, people are already coming from fucking Christchurch and London and California to get tattooed. Like, I don't think they're even going to realize that I'm another like connecting flight away. You know, people. Yeah, it genuinely is. You know, people. It puts some people off. But those aren't the people that I need in my life anyway. You know, like people that come here are just so fucking psyched to be here. Yep. Every person that I've tattooed at Studio Takitimu is just they're so committed. You know, they've gone on a fucking voyage just to get here, to get their tattoo. You know what I mean? So of course they're going to be stoked, and they get here, and you know, we just get on, and it's awesome. You know, we get it done, and you know, and in a really cool environment. You know.
So if you're doing just a couple of days of tattooing, how often are you spending on painting? Because some of the paintings I've seen you've been doing this just in the last couple of years are really amazing, man. Especially there's one that I'd love to. There was a Māori one that you've done that sat at Shipshape that inspired me to do a painting as well. But how often are you painting?
Not as often as I should. I've always got like 100 hobbies, and you know, I can't give my all to all of them. I've always been such a like jack of all trades, you know, And I'm like, you know, one minute I'm doing bonsai, next minute I'm fucking cooking, next minute I'm fishing, you know, or cars, but I can't do it all at once, is what I'm realizing, you know. So painting is a passion of mine that I will pursue at some stage properly, sure. But at the moment, it's more we have this huge piece of land, and there's years and years of work to go. On Studio Takitimu, it was evolving like slowly but steadily. And if I spend too much time painting, tattooing, fishing, any of those things takes too much of my time, then Studio Takitimu is the one that suffers, you know. So I need to keep pushing and working on evolving that and seeing it through to some sort of completion. Not completion, nothing's, once I finish things I stop, so I can't yeah.
That's cool, man. So is that what the next couple of years look like for you in terms of just setting us, obviously you're really well set up there at the moment, just getting it to the point where you feel like you've got your little like the compound really working and just owning the space? That's the kind of the next couple of years for you?
Yeah, just like getting ironing out the kinks and building the accommodation and working out what it looks like for people, and then hopefully welcoming in my dog grabbing the toy basket, working out kind of hopefully being able to do what we set out to do initially and welcome the world to the far north, and sort of let people come here to something that's, because at the moment it's really a big construction site.
Yeah,
it's really fun and people are having a good time when they come up, but my vision's a lot more refined for this. And at the moment, but that's kind of the cool thing too, because people that are coming and getting these tattoos that take 20 fucking days, sometimes they're getting to see the part where it's just a big red bit of dirt, and then they're getting to see when we put the concrete down and when we build the cabana and, you know, make the you know, the fire, and you know, people, every time those clients come back, they're just like part of that whānau, you know. They're like, oh man, this is so cool, and some of them get in and fucking help, and, you know,
I'd imagine. It would have been, I'm sure it would have been like that when you were doing the new Shipshape, you know, when you walk in and it's just you know,
so many of our clients built Shipshape, friends and clients.
Yeah,
you know, the bricks were done by Matt Miller, and he's an old client of mine, and, you know, the painting's done by Khan, and also, you know, it's all just clients helping, and, you know, they love Shipshape as well, and Studio Takitimu is no different. But I guess so the goal for the next couple of years, and why there's not much painting, is because I want to get it ready for once COVID fucks off a bit and we can do what we set out to do, and bring people from all over the world to the middle of fucking nowhere and just make their arms fucking burn catching a giant kingfish, and then give them a tattoo and do all those things, you know, like that we kind of set out to do, you know, and feed them an epic and do all that, you know.
You do, it's so good to see, man. Like I'm really stoked for you. I mean, like we're only just meeting now, but just it's cool to see people that have goals and plans and they actually start putting them into fruition. It's choice, and obviously with the social media side of things, you can. I'm seeing it happen live, you know, and it's epic, man. Really epic.
Yeah. So it's cool, like, and that's the cool thing about when you have an idea that's going to take you 5 or 10 years to build. It's never what it was at the start. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
Super organic, you know, what's kind of happening here at Studio Takitimu now, and what happened with Shipshape. I had no idea that it was going to look like that.
Yeah.
You know, what is this huge thing, you know, that it is, you know. Yeah.
What about the art then? Like, what's the direction for your art? Is there anything in particular that you're kind of aiming for? Is it just the big pieces that you're kind of focusing on, or is there a general direction that you kind of want to head?
It's nice finishing a tattoo every now and then. So I like, you know, the other day I did a portrait for the first time in a while, and that was really cool. But
that wasn't the Tupac, was it?
Yeah, Tupac one.
Yeah, it was dope.
It's cool going back to doing a portrait when you haven't done one in a while too, because you see all the stuff you've learned over the past year doing different stuff kind of relay into that, and you see it evolve without even thinking about it, you know.
Yeah, cool.
You know, so you know, when I started Shipshape Tattoo and I was booked out for 2 years, and that sounds really cool to some young artists. I was the most stressed out and miserable I've been in my life. And now I make art that I love. It's not necessarily everyone's cup of tea. It might be a bit controversial at times. It might not be the most amazing tattoo that people think they've ever seen sometimes as well. But to me, I'm real happy with it, and my clients are real happy with it too, because I'm, rather than just doing what I want, because I know that's what everyone wants to see, I'm doing what my client wants, and I'm going on a journey with them and creating something really special to make this big multi-figure composition or whatever the fuck it is from scratch, and rather than just copying some fucking Bernini statue off of the internet, like not that that's bad, you know, and that was a huge stepping stone and part of my career, and something I do still use because we look up to the masters, you know, and stuff, but for me to go, what's stopping me from making my own shit, you know, my own. Yeah, it's a heap more work. Yeah, it might take a week to sort the design out. Yeah, it might cost me thousands of dollars just to make the design. But then when I do the tattoo, I'm going to look at the tattoo and know that that's my Last Supper, or that's my fucking, you know, that's my composition.
Yeah.
Rather than just you know, doing, you know, studies basically of other artist work.
Yeah, it's really inspiring for me, especially. And I would imagine a lot of people that follow your work, to be able to watch the process and understand that it's not just about grabbing and trying to put together. It's actually about creating and seeing, you know, like getting your mates into a photo shoot and then creating from that, or you know, with the Last Supper and stuff like that. Not just trying to pick a rose and a skull and trying to merge it through Photoshop and then go, fuck yeah, that's going to be the best thing ever. It's really quite it's cool for me, because I think that would be probably the next step for my work, is to start getting into that, you know.
Like, it's not about, like, you know, the just like fucking everyone's got fucking Photoshop, you know. You get a few pictures off of Google and fucking mush them together. It doesn't make you special, you know. Like, it's like I did that for years. I was chasing that high of like trying to feel like I was doing the coolest, you know, one or whatever. But it's like, that's not what it's about. It's not about fucking being the fucking Photoshop guru or the fucking. It's not even about doing what I'm doing. It's just about doing what makes you happy. You know, like, everyone's going to eventually, if they stick with art long enough, hopefully they're going to get their head out of their ass and work out what they want to do.
Yeah.
You know, if I was chasing what everyone else is doing for so long, that, you know, that's why I wasn't happy. Now I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life, because I'm just doing whatever the fuck I want. Yeah.
Nice, man. Well, that's dope to hear, man, and that might be a pretty sweet way to kind of end the conversation, man. Just to hear how good of a spot you're in. But anyway, let me leave you to your night, man. Thank you so much for the chat. It's been really cool hearing your story.
Oh, well, good, man. Yeah, thanks for having me, and I really like what you're doing. It's been really cool.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, you know, appreciate you thinking of me and having me on.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much, man. Hopefully, I'll hopefully get to see you soon and maybe have a beer.
Yeah, sounds good. You're welcome up anytime.
Thank you, bro.
Yes, bye.
All right, man.
Yeah.